Let's bring in the real guest for today, Jimmy Jacobs. Welcome to the teleconference.
What's happening?
Not too much. How are things in your world?
In my world, I live in the same world as you do, and it's fantastic.
Well, it's actually not too bad. It's sun's out in Chicago for you today. All good?
Yeah.
You liking the Chicago
cold.
winter?
It's cold. It's really cold.
All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about with you. Your thoughts on where things are at 2018 for Impact Wrestling?
I mean, that's a really broad question. And the truth is, 2018, right now, man, it's going to be a rebuilding phase for Impact. Pulling no punches there. It's been through a lot of different regime changes, and now with with Scott and Moore and Don Callis at the helm, and then Sanjay Dutt in creative. I think there's a lot of people there that I've worked with that are starting to kind of like stabilize the company, if that makes sense, both financially and creatively, and with the roster. So it's going to be about now that things sort of stabilize, creating a product and creating a vision that brings back old fans and brings in new fans.
All right. Well, we will open it up for questions for Jimmy at this point. Again, if you would please, media, identify yourself, identify your media outlet, and if we could have one question alone for Jimmy so we can move along to different media, and we'll come back to you for a second question if time permitting.
Sean Rossap of Fightful.com here. Jimmy, you came to Impact shortly after your WWE departure. Did you have discussions with any other companies? And what made you land on Impact Wrestling, if so?
I absolutely did. Full disclosure, I talked to Ring of Honor about going back there, and but I did that for a lot of years. I was with Ring of Honor for 10 years, and I wanted to do something new. I had a conversation with Scott and Sanjay on the phone about different things in Impact, and it just seemed like a nice fit. It was something I wanted to try out, and so my first time in Ottawa was kind of just a test run, a test go to see sort of how the fit was, and the fit felt good. I mean, like I said, we're in a rebuilding phase, and they needed somebody who could wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of different things, and I had experience doing all those things as far as writing and creative and helping guys with promos and helping guys with matches and being an on-air character as well. So it was nice, man. It was a nice week in Ottawa, and it sort of solidified that Impact is kind of the direction I wanted to go.
Just to follow up really quickly on that, I'm assuming the ROH conversations happened when you kind of made the cameo on their pay-per-view?
Right, yeah, and afterwards, I go back a long way with Ring of Honor. Back to 2003, and with the booker, Hunter Johnson, and I are longtime friends. So of course, he was the first person I called. Before the news of me getting fired from WWE broke. I mean, I called him a couple days. The news when I got fired didn't break till almost a week later. So he was the first person I called. We set up that little cameo for me on their pay-per-view, and we talked about a role for me after that. And I told him I was in discussion with Impact, and that's where I ended up. So,
thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Hi there, Jimmy. It's Adam from the Impact Lounge in the UK. Good evening.
What's up, Adam?
Yeah, well, since you've joined the company, obviously you've had a little stint on commentary, you've been a manager, there was talk that you joined as part of the creative team. Can you maybe just clarify what your exact position within the company is, and also where you want it to go, where you see the role evolving to?
The truth is, man, everybody there has a lot of different roles, and my job's no different. And the truth is, man, I'm on a handshake deal with Impact, and that was part of the deal coming in for me. Was that I felt so restricted for 2.5 years, and so coming in now with sort of the freedom to grow where I want to and do what I'm best suited for. I didn't feel like that was always the case at the last company I worked for. So it's cool for me to be an on-air talent and be managing Kongo Kong, a guy who, I've known Kongo Kong for like almost 20 years, like longer than anybody else in the wrestling business. And it's cool to do that, and it's cool to be of value and be of service creatively, and be of value and service to the guys when they're putting together their matches or coming up with promos and calling them and helping produce the television. So the truth is, man, it's a lot of different things, and I go where I'm needed, and that's the way the company's working right now.
Fantastic.
Hey Jimmy, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com in the UK. I hope you're good. Obviously, you spent some time with WWE and creative. How does the creative process differ between WWE and Impact Wrestling?
I think one of the advantages we have here is that, right now, and it's there's not a lot of advantages to it, but we're taping a lot of weeks of TV in a row. The last time we taped like 12 weeks and 6 days, and that's a lot. Now, what's cool about that though is we can tell a story long term, and in WWE there's not a whole lot of that. It's very, very week to week, and at the whim of the boss. So you can write something on Friday, and by Monday that's out the window. So the creative process we have going on here, while it is similar in a lot of ways as far as putting the TV together and how we structure it and whatnot, it's nice that we can tell long-term stories, and we have more freedom to try out different things and experiment for different things, and that's kind of the time we're at right now too with Impact. It is a time to experiment. It is a time to try new things. To me, just for my money, man, it's a time to try something and fail. If it means failing, but it means trying something. With WWE, it's a lot of times creatively it was like you tread water. That's what you do, because you have 3+ hours of Raw today and 2 hours of SmackDown, an hour of 205 Live. You do the same thing the week after that, the week after that, the week after that, the week after that, and it's just you tread water to get to the next week. And I feel like at Impact we can do a little more than that.
All right. Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Hi, Jimmy. It's Don from Slam Wrestling.
What's up?
I was watching an RNF video shoot with the Young Bucks a while ago, and they mentioned about you being so confident and relaxed before a match. Well, they were kind of freaking out and stressed out. So what is your approach when you wrestle a match or when you go out in front of people? Why are you so relaxed and confident?
I know that was a particular story that they told. I think that was with me and the now Seth Rollins put them over for the tag titles down at Pro Wrestling Guerrero. I remember seeing a clip of that. Look, man, when you've been doing this X amount of number of years as I have, there's a certain, there's a confidence. How do I say this? I still have nerves. I have nerves until the second I walk off the curtain. And then you get the reaction of the people, and that sort of quells those nerves, because if you're before the match, you try to visualize things, and you try to picture how things are going to go. And anytime you're kind of looking into the future, there's a certain anxiety that comes with it. So, I'm sure that particular day, when you feel like you're in control of things, you feel confident. And other times, you don't know what's going to happen. And this, it was so weird, leaving the independents and then coming back. And it did shake my confidence, man. And when working for WWE shook my confidence. It was a place where, and this isn't to slam it, it's just I didn't feel very valued. I felt that sometimes, you lose your confidence when you don't get positive reinforcement a lot. And so coming back to the independents, man, I had more nerves than I had, 10 years ago working with the Young Bucks. As far as are people going to remember me, or it's just, do I still know how to do this? Am I still okay at this? Should I still be doing this? So it's taking a little bit of time to get my confidence back. That's the truth.
If you'd like to ask a question, your request has been received.
Hey, Jimmy, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com again. As it pertains to your schedule with Impact Wrestling, obviously the taping is a lot different, but how does that affect things when you have so much to do in such little time as opposed to WWE, where it's that constant grind and that constant like travel and things like that? How has that changed for you in that regard?
I mean, it definitely is. It's a different thing, right? Yeah, WWE. The schedule is 24/7, man. It was. You know, you fly out Sunday to do Raw Monday, to do drive SmackDown Tuesday, fly out Wednesday in the office all day Thursday, meeting with events on Friday, writing Raw and SmackDown and Friday and Saturday. You know, it was just nonstop. With Impact, I think it was crazy. It's like right now, it's like the calm before the storm, and you know, in the next few weeks, we're going to start putting together creative for the upcoming shows, and then come, you know, we did this set of tapings at the beginning of January, and it was like nothing I've ever done in my life, man. It was like 6 days taping, you know, two episodes of TV per day, and then afterwards, you know, going back to the hotel room that night, and then looking over, you know, the next day's creative and staying up till 6 a.m. doing that, and, you know, working these, you know, 18, 20-hour days, you know, 6 days in a row. And I remember, you know, Scott Demore and I were, we took a lot of the brunt of the work. You know, Sanjay was at home. He had just gone through surgery, so he couldn't come down for these January tapings. So, you know, Scott and I were up every night. So, you know, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, you're working on the next day's shows. And I look at Scott and I go, after one of the nights, you know, it's the morning now. I look at him, I was like, Scott, I worked with Vince McMahon for 2.5 years, and it was the hardest I've ever fucking worked in my life. So it is a lot rolled into one.
Yeah, I wondered about that because you've got it's almost like a cram session, it would seem like.
Absolutely. And man, that's not the ideal way to tape the TV, and I think everybody at Impact's aware of that. And I think we're trying to break that down and break that into smaller chunks, because it's just too it's overwhelming creatively to do that. It's overwhelming work-wise. It's overwhelming for the guys. You can't get into the flow of things as well as you can. Just with just a little less. And if we just did 4 weeks at a time, or 3 weeks at a time, I think that'd be really helpful. Or 6 weeks at a time. But, you know, 12 is a beast, man. 12 is a beast. Like I said, it does have its positives in that we can tell like congruent stories and things of that nature long term. But it's definitely not the ideal way to take television. I think everybody's aware of that.
Thank you.
You may now ask your question.
Hey, Jimmy, this is Big Ray from Wrestling.com. Thanks for joining us here. How are you today, sir?
Doing fantastic.
All right, cool. I have a cool question for you. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Maybe you'll think it's cool. There's a gentleman by the name of James Ellsworth out there, and recently he's won the Intergender Championship, and he's going to be defending this title all over the world, apparently. Any chance that the Princess would face a James Ellsworth for that Intergender Championship? And if so, how would you book that match, being a former writer for the WWE and now currently working with Impact?
Man, I love James Ellsworth. You know, I was on James's the first time he was on Raw. I was on his promo where he wrestled Braun Strowman in Pittsburgh, and so I helped, you know, write that promo with James, and you know, put in the line of. You know, he asked if he could say the line of "Can any man with two hands has a fighting chance?" And yeah, man, I do like James today. He actually called me up after his W release. Both got released around the same time, and he ran this idea behind this intergender thing. I thought it was awesome. I think it's great, and nobody's doing it. So I mean, I'm sure I'll see James around. I don't know if I'll don the Princess outfit or not to go one-on-one with James, but I'd love to wrestle him. I think he's a good talent. He's worked for a really nice guy and worked for a really long time. It's cool to see hard work pay off.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to watch. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Muted.
Hi, Jimmy. This is Nick Hausman with WrestleZone.com. Thanks for taking the call today.
What's up, Nick?
I just wanted to ask, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but obviously when you left WWE, there were a lot of reports about, different unhappinesses you had about the backstage atmosphere. I was just wondering, walking into Impact Wrestling, were there any changes or requests you had about the way that Impact handles itself with talent backstage?
No, man. Like when I came in Ottawa to Impact, it was as a guest, and it was just for both our sakes. When I got released from WWE, Scott D'Amore, who I've known for 16 years old, called me up and said, "Hey, we should probably talk and see if there's mutual interest or mutual, if there's things to be gained by us working together." And we decided I would come to Ottawa. So it was purely to see if it would be a fit. And I wasn't going to try to force anything as far as, making requests. I don't think they were trying to force me into a spot. It was like, if I could be beneficial to the company, cool. Like they would bring me in and we would work together. And I thought after the week I had a really good time. And above all else, man, like I felt valued. And that might seem like a small thing, but like for me at the time and right now, it was a big deal. It was a big deal to feel valued by not just the boys, not just the locker room, because in WWE I did feel that way as far as a lot of the guys. So I had a great rapport with so much of the talent, but some of the office and I was office, but some of the bosses I didn't. And I felt valued. I felt heard. I felt that my ideas were, I was contributing. And yeah, man, it's felt like a good fit. It really has. And that's no bullshit. Like here's the thing. Like I said before, I'm on a handshake deal with Impact, so I don't have like a company line to toe. I don't like just. So by me saying like, yeah, I'm enjoying my time there. It's not like a line of bullshit. It's like it feels good to be at a place that I like being.
Awesome, thank you.
Hey, Jimmy, we got an email question from Lee Mead at Alive Radio. His first question is: are dark jeans, smart shirt, jacket, and waistcoat alongside some nice trainer boots acceptable attire for work?
What was the whole get up again? Run it by me.
Dark jeans, smart shirt, jacket, and waistcoat alongside some nice trainer boots.
Hey man, if you can pull it off, it works, right? And I don't know what the context of this question is exactly, but I know, as far as in my life and where I've been and where I am now, like I always wanted to be judged by the content of my work, not the color of my tie. So it's cool. Like to me at Impact, I get to dress like me, and nobody has a problem with that. So I'll bring it back around to that.
All right.
If you'd like to ask a question, your request has been received.
Coming to Impact, what do you see as the biggest challenge Impact has, and what's the biggest positive moving forward in 2018?
The biggest challenge, undoubtedly, is getting back the trust of the fans. Impact and previously TNA has asked the fans and has gotten their trust so many times, only to break that, only to screw them over, only to have these I hate to use the word regimes, but they'll go through these different cycles of really really burning the audience. And here we are saying, no, but this time for real. And I do believe it's real. Seeing the people involved, seeing the people at the helm, like I do think it's real. At least I have my trust in them. So if we get burned, we all get burned together this time. I think that's undoubtedly the biggest obstacle at play. And I don't know exactly what it's going to take. I don't know if just, putting on some good wrestling is going to be enough. I think we have to come out with an innovative product. And I think a lot of what is an Impact, there is some cool innovation stuff. I think that the guys, all the backstage segments, the backstage sort of skits, the way they're put together in sort of a cinematic feature. We've got a few guys that are really smart doing that. who are brilliant to work with to direct that, produce that. So I do think I think it's stuff like that, stuff that's different, stuff that's unique, that will hopefully earn the trust of the fans back.
Hey, this is Vijay from Sportskeeda. My question is, did you get a chance to work with Austin Aries during your time in WWE? And do you think he will fare better in Impact than he did in WWE? Thank you.
Yeah, I've worked with Austin Aries from looking in the independents to Ring of Honor to WWE and now to Impact. So he and I have had careers that have intertwined a lot over the years. I've always been a big Austin Aries fan. I thought part of the problem in WWE is he was miscast. We had just turned Neville as a heel, and we brought Aries in as a babyface. And like anybody that knows Aries, kind of knows that he's kind of an unlikable a guy, naturally in a lot of ways, and he'll tell you that himself. So I was upset that in WWE he never got that heel run that I think he needed to get over that hump. And certainly right now at Impact, we have him in a babyface role. I don't know what the future holds for that, but I think Aries is extremely talented. I've always been a big fan of his, and I would love it. I thought him coming into Impact was good for both of us, as both of us being Impact and Austin Aries, and I think with Aries, he can go as far as he wants to go, as far as he wants to take things. I don't know if he's at the point. I don't know what he wants out of his career right now. He's done so much. I don't know if he wants a full-time schedule still. I don't know if he I don't know anything about it. But I think if he stays with Impact for as long as he stays there, he'll have a spot up top.
You may now ask your question.
So I've known Kongo Kong since 1998. So right under 20 years right now. He broke in the same place that I started hanging around wrestling when I was 14 years old. So to be the first match I ever wrestled as a heel, it was me and him in a tag team, and back in 1999. And so it's super cool right now on a personal level for me to be with this guy that I've known for so long on national television together. I posted some picture on my Instagram maybe a couple months ago, a picture of us from 18 years ago, 18 years apart. And so he's always been talented. He used to work under the name of Osiris, and just kind of there's no gimmick, there's no character. He's just he was good, he's big, and whatever. And in JCW, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, they cast him as Kongo Kong, and it was the right fit, the right character, and the right guy. And as soon as he started doing it, I was yo, this is money. And I had wanted to manage him a few years back, actually. So when Scott D'Amore called me about coming into Impact, man, the call was so everything was really open-ended. It was there was no hey, we're calling you for this purpose. It was kind of hey, what's up? And so I was so what do you think? What do you see me doing? And he's well, first thing, one of the things we had talked about maybe was you mentioned Kongo Kong, and I just stopped him right there. I was yo, I would love to do that. That's if I could pick kind of one thing to do, it would be that. Truth be told, man, I like wrestling, but I like performing more than I like wrestling. So I would just as soon be a manager as a wrestler, real talk. So it was a real nice fit, and I've been a fan of what we've done on the TV, and I think the stuff with Joseph Park and Abyss is cool. Later on, we're moving into something with Johnny Morrison, what's his name? Johnny Impact. Johnny Impact. I think we did some good stuff for at the last set of tapings. So I'm pretty jazzed about this the pair, and I think I'm hoping it takes Kong to the next level, because if there's one thing I think, just from coming from the outside in now at Impact, is it's real important to get like Impact and branded stars, guys that are like associated with Impact, the way like Rosemary is and Moose is and Eli Drake and people like that. And I'm hoping Kong can be in that, Abyss, of course, and I'm hoping Kong can be in that same group of names.
Cool, thank you, Jimmy.
Muted.
Hi, Jimmy. Stephanie for Future Magazine in UK. I'm delighted to talk to you. My question is about the Zombie Princess character. I love this character, and I wanted to know how you build it, what are your influences, what this character is representing, all these things. What is this Zombie Princess? And thank you very much.
Thank you. It's delightful to talk to you as well. The Zombie Princess, it's something that kind of originated in a promo I did years ago. I was wrestling Kevin Owens, then Kevin Steen, and he had made fun of the way I look. And I said something effective, I don't need to look tough. I don't need to dress tough. I don't even need to talk tough. What I've done shows I'm tough. I can put on a tutu and tiara, call myself a princess. I'll still be the toughest guy in the room. And so the character, that's part of it, is this idea that, in wrestling, there's the crushers and the bruisers and destroyers. You know what? I'm a princess, and I'll still bite your face off. And beyond that, so much of it is an expression of me, of who I am, kind of as a human being, and the androgyny of that I've always sort of been attracted to my entire life. And it's cool when I see people reach out to me and say, hey, because of you, I was able to, come to terms with, who I am, whether it's, to come out of the closet or with my sexuality or gender identity, or even just like, hey, because of you, I thought it was okay to paint my nails. Like, that's cool to me. So a lot of the characters about just embracing whoever the hell you are, and just and loving it and being it and owning it and making no apologies for it.
Hey, Jimmy, Sean Rossap of Fightful.com again. You were closely tied with the Bullet Club, obviously. What kind of reaction did you get from them when you decided to make your move to Impact? And did they maybe push you to join them in Ring of Honor as opposed to that?
Honestly, man, we had very little talk about that sort of stuff, and they were super gracious. After getting fired for WWE, I think they felt a certain responsibility for it. And then I told the Young Bucks particularly, and who I go back a long ways with, I told them it was honestly, man, this whole thing has been a blessing, and so. But they've been very helpful with me as far as hooking me up with their T-shirt guy and the designs and things of that, sort of getting my foot back in the door of independent wrestling. Man, what do I do? But as far as career moves, I was able to sort of handle things myself. They made no pushes one way or the other. I mean, I'm close with them, but I'm not, we're not like best friends, you know what I mean? Like if they've got their show, their all-in show at some point, if I'm on it, I'm on. If I'm not, I won't be surprised either. So, there's we're close, but we're not that close, I guess. And we're friends. They're friends. They are friends of mine, but it's not, I'm not running by my every, career move with them, I guess.
Hey, this is Viju from Sportskeeda again. My question is, you famously took on Eddie Guerrero in a match around, I believe, 13 years ago. Do you have any memories of the night, and how, like, where does it rank in all your achievements? Thank you.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was such a cool experience, man. I was 21 years old, and I was in Reading, Pennsylvania, just visiting a friend, and I was buddies with Paul London, and I was just going to go to SmackDown. I was going to hang out with him in Reading, and he's like, hey, just come to SmackDown and hang out with me there. So I went to SmackDown just literally to hang out with my friend. And I was sort of just hanging out there, standing around, and they needed somebody to work with Eddie Guerrero. And a couple of the guys were familiar with my work, and so they're like, oh, hey, this kid over here he can wrestle Eddie. And so they called me over. They're like, all right, yeah, take off your nail polish, take out your earrings. It's going to be you and Eddie Guerrero tonight. And at 21, I was like, I've been around long enough not to believe anything till it happens. Like, nothing happens till it happens, right? But sure enough, I started to see my name on the lineup next to Eddie Guerrero. And I went up to Eddie and I said, hey, I'm Jimmy. I think we're wrestling tonight. I think we're gonna work the other night. And he goes, Jimmy, I just want to apologize right now that this match needs to be all me. I would love to have a competitive match, but today it needs to be 100% me. And I just want to thank you for doing this for me. I want to thank you for being through professionalism and doing me this favor. And he was so gracious and so kind. And there I was, 21 years old, never worked for WWE before. This guy was like the man, had been champion at WrestleMania. And here he was, acting like I was doing him a favor. And he was so kind, so gracious. And right before we went out, he said, God willing, we'll work together again under better circumstances. But I thought, working with him, he made the circumstances work together just great. And in the ring, he was professional. He didn't touch me. He would, his stuff looked great. It looked believable. It looked real. But he didn't touch me, and that's the art of it. That's what makes, part of what makes what you do in the ring so great. And it was an incredible learning experience in that it taught me it doesn't matter where you are in the business, what the disparity is. He's been at WrestleMania. I'm a 21-year-old kid on TV for the very first time, and he treated me not just like an equal, but he humbled himself towards me. And that was such a powerful lesson that I hold with me to this day, that just it doesn't matter who you are in this business. It does not make you a better human being than anybody else, and it doesn't give you the right to treat anybody else like less than.
If you'd like to ask, your request has been received.
Stephanie for Future Magazine again. You've been in this business for 19 years. Sorry, I'm messing up. You've seen a lot of things, and I wanted to have your opinion on the current wrestling scene and the I won't say the resurrection, but this great evolution of the independent scene you've been a part of for quite a long time. And I want to thank you again. Merci.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's wonderful, man. When I got fired from WWE, I was in the bubble. When you work there, you're in the bubble. You can only pay attention to WWE and barely because there's so much programming. But I don't know what's going on outside of it, right? So when I got fired, people just kept telling me, the independents are on fire. The independents they're booming. The independents, everybody's drawing, everybody's getting paid. Sami Callihan was a guy that called me up right away when I got fired and was held my hands, reintroduced me to some of these promoters and to kind of what's going on. I was very gracious that he did that for me. And continues to do so sometimes. It's brilliant. It's great. There's more awesome wrestling now than I think ever before. There's so much great talent. There's so much good wrestling. I go out to these shows, and it's cool. It's cool to still wrestle on the independents and work for Impact too. Because I see some of these guys, I'm like, fuck, we need to bring in some of these guys. There's a handful of guys just not off the top of my head, Ace Romero or MJF or Zachary Wentz. Or Myron Reed, is that his name? There's a couple guys out in the Midwest area. There's super super talented guys, and it's cool. It's cool to come back and see business going well. And look, I'm making more money than I ever have before in my life, so I'm not mad at it. I'm loving it.
You may now ask your question.
All right, Jimmy, this is Big Ray one more time for OneWrestling.com. Now, this is the fun fact portion of the questions, okay, Jimmy? So I just wanted to know, tell us a little bit about Jimmy Jacobs, not the character, you. I just want to know a little bit about, what do you like? Do you like, what movies do you like? Food, music, especially music. Music tells a lot about the person. Just want to know a little bit about you, sir.
That's interesting because I don't know if there's much interesting about Jimmy Jacobs behind the scenes, man. Because honestly, this is what I've done with so much of my life, and some of it's about finding that, right now, it's been a crazy time in my life. The past year has been like one of the most transformative years of my life. As far as going through a breakup and going through rehab and getting fired from WWE, and I'm vegan now, and just all sorts of different things. I moved to Chicago recently. I was in Stamford, Connecticut. I'm in Chicago. So a lot's gone on in my life. I don't know, man. I was in Thailand a couple weeks ago. I went scuba diving for the first time, which was awesome because I haven't tried a whole lot of new things in my life. Because I've been married to wrestling for so long, and this time in my life's been cool because for the first time in my life, I'm really enjoying wrestling. I'm really enjoying being in this business. For so long, it was the single-minded goal of making it to WWE, and that obsession was I was unhealthy. And it wasn't productive, didn't serve me. So then working for WWE and getting fired from there, and without having that goal now I don't have this destination in mind. I can just enjoy the journey. So it's a cool time for me in wrestling. It's a cool time for me. Otherwise, what I really like right now, what band I really like, and they're not popular now. I guess they used to be 10 years ago. Is Blue October. The lead singer Justin Furstenfeld. I went to one of his acoustic shows that he does, and it was great. A lot of it's about recovery and sobriety and things of that nature. And I can identify with the darkness, and I think everybody can identify with darkness at some level. The darkness and then coming to the light. So it's a cool time as far as that goes. I don't know, man. I read books. I go tanning. I go do yoga. This is and then I go on the weekends. I go and I wrestle professionally. It's cool. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thank you, man.
Muted.
Jimmy, have you talked to Austin and or Allie about the vegan life?
Yeah, I bought Austin Aries' book, which I thought was cool. It was something that I just kind of started doing for, I guess, ethical reasons, or maybe it's, I'm a guy that's always lived in extremes, and it's hard to find balance. And I guess getting sober, and then it's easier. You go from eating opiates to eating nothing but plants. I guess it's the extremes that I guess I'm drawn to. So it seemed from that level, I thought a thing to do. And it has health benefits as well. And it's helping me eat healthier. I'm not a shitty eating vegan. I eat good stuff, and it's nice, and it's good to finally kind of take care of my body for the first time in my life. It's cool times.
Well, perfect, Jimmy. You and I will go for a vegan meal here in Chicago, and Nick from WrestleZone has already texted in. He said he's buying for all three of us, so we're good to go on that.
Fantastic.
Hey, this is Vijay from Sportskida again. My question is, what was your personal relationship with Vince McMahon, and how much freedom did you have as a creative person with your own ideas? Because he's been known to be a filter of sorts at times. Thank you.
So, look, you have freedom to come up with whatever ideas you want. It's just that it's his sandbox, and he's the one that says no. And at a certain point, Vince he says he likes people that challenge him, but I think only to a certain point. And that's kind of the balance you have to run there, is that you get to disagree with Vince like once, and then that's it. So it's cool now where you know, like I dealt with Vince on almost. At TVs, so a few times a week, 3 times a week in meetings and TVs. I'm not like, I wasn't like in the super inner circle, but like I was outside the inner circle, and we didn't have a bad relationship. I don't think he actively disliked me, or we never clicked. So we never I was just kind of a crazy, eccentric, flamboyant, gender-bending artist, and he's like a eccentric megalomaniac billionaire. So it's cool now to be around people in a creative aspect who I don't have to filter my ideas, like wondering oh, is this gonna make him mad? Is this idea too off the wall? He's gonna be like, God damn, what the hell is that? And I don't have to do that now. It's cool that, even if my idea, bombs in the room, if with the other guys in creative here at Impact, even if it bombs, I have the freedom to pitch without fear of getting yelled at or made to feel stupid for pitching something that's off the wall. And it's nice to feel that way now,
Alrighty, Jimmy. Well, I appreciate your time very much. We'll wrap it up with that question. Got a final thought heading into Impact tonight?
No final thoughts. I feel like I've given all my thoughts over the past 40 minutes. So.
All right. Any big weekend plans for you?
I got my buddy's wedding in New Jersey tomorrow. Then I go to Cleveland on Saturday for a show, and Texas on Sunday for a show.
All righty. Sounds good, Jimmy. I appreciate it. And we will speak to you again soon in media. We will be back next week with the teleconference. I believe we're moving it to Tuesday next week, but stay tuned. I will email everybody about the time for next week. Thank you.